has been a while, so let's get started. Today, I'm going to be going over color, and I'm going to keep it simple because there is many terms. The goal of this video is to stay simple and just give people the tools to express themselves and to storytell. So part 1 is going to be color vocab, and then part 2 is color groups, and part 3 is storytelling. Hue is how you identify a color. So if I turn the color wheel, I can tell this is red, this is blue, this is green, and if you mix two colors, like aqua, that's like blue and green, I can identify that because it's got hints of blue and hints of green, thus aqua. If you think about color like language, then hue would be what you're talking about or the emotion. So for example, red is usually angry, it's passionate, it's sensual. Blue is relaxed, or it can be sad, or it can be cold and scientific. Yellow is happiness, it's warm and inviting. It's also really attention grabbing, like caution. Think of your canvas as a room full of people. So for example, if I'm in a room full of blue people, literally people talking about all this sad stuff, and let's say a funeral, and you have yellow in the middle, I'm going to grab all the attention because I'm talking about something happy surrounded by sad people. I'm going to stick out and become the topic. Saturation is how loud your colors are. So grays tend to be more depressing, more realistic, and tend to be more chill, more quiet, low energy. However, high saturation tends to be loud, in your face, active, a lot of energy, a lot of action. The same rules apply to hue as they do with saturation. So for example, if I'm in a library and it's quiet, full of muted tones, and someone's screaming, my attention is going to be brought to them. Question is, why are you yelling at people to focus in this certain spot in a picture? Value is how light or dark your colors are. If we take this literally, it's how heavy or light your topics and emotions are. If I say we're a pastel pink color, it's going to be cute, it's going to be innocent, it's going to be lighthearted. But if I wear something like a really dark red, that's going to be aggressive, it's going to be intimidating, it's going to be powerful. So yeah, personally, you should pay more attention to contrast and values if you're doing things like manga, storyboarding, or working with ink, because you have no colors, and the texture is what talks. The composition is what talks. Knowing warm versus cool colors is useful too. If you split down the color wheel, you'll notice one side is cold colors, the other side is warm colors. Warm colors tend to be warm, inviting, hot in temperature, and then cool colors tend to be cool, tend to be cold, uninviting, and is good for shading. See, when you shade, you don't want to just make the color go darker. You want to move for shadows in the cool colors, and then for highlights or base colors, you want to move towards the warmer colors. This gives a nice contrast between warm and cool colors and makes it pop versus looking dull and gray, unless that's what you're trying to do, make it look depressing. First is monochrome colors, which is one color. 2 is complementary colors, which is 2 colors, and it's on the opposite side of the wheel and complements each other. 3 is analogous. Analogous is 3 colors, but they're next to each other, versus triadic, which is 3 colors, which is in the shape of a triangle. And then there's triadic, which is 4 colors. Honestly, it just goes on and on and on. If you want to play around with color groups and experiment, I would recommend using Canva. It's free. When using color groups, you want to use color harmony, because if there's no intention, then it's just going to be a big blob of people talking. However, when you're able to have balance and people can get a hint at what story you're trying to tell or mood you're trying to set, it helps. That simplicity. So there's something called the 63-10 rule, which is 60% of your drawing is your main color and sets the main mood, and then 30% is your second color and it assists the mood, makes it more complicated, and then 10% is sort of like sprinkle of different emotions to keep things interesting. Keep in mind that you want contrast in your photos. Even pastel colors need contrast because you are creating a silhouette, something people can recognize and go like, oh, that's the shape of a person, that's the shape of a dog. And being able to have that contrast plus with the colors adds the mood and the topic of what people are talking about. But you should be aware of the cultural and historical period. For example, some countries will wear black, meanwhile others will wear white during funerals because those are the colors of mourning and death. The colors give the hints of how you should feel about those topics. If I have a yellow dog, then it's going to be more of a playful, happy dog for a reason. If the dog is red, it's going to be aggressive, it's going to be angry. Why is it angry and how is that related to the person? You have to think about how these colors play with each other and in what order. Composition is where your eye goes first. If you read art like a sentence, then the order of what you look at first, what brings attention first, is how you read a art piece. I like to think of color schemes like making food, because we are what we eat, and if we are consumers and we consume content, that content is ideas and emotions. So how do these combination of ideas and emotions create edible art? Every aesthetic has a color scheme. It has a different emotion and look to it. And finding a way to do that, what I think sets good art from great art. There's many ways of finding different color schemes and aesthetics. Personally, I do not like Wikia because of the sheer amount of advertisements. However, the aesthetic Wikia, if you go to all pages, is such a good way to find different aesthetics and different taste. And also looking up actual food, getting a little hungry, getting a little inspirational, and finding that some have like apple themes, some have milk themes, some are blueberry themed, and I love it. Some have caramel chocolate themes, some are raspberries, and these are great. And you can also find them on Pinterest and finding similar art styles and artists to those. And my personal technique is I'll make mood boards. I'll have my drawing on one tab, and the other tab I'll have a mood board of the colors, the shapes, and the accessories that I want in the art. And this makes it easy to find color combinations, but also trying to put together what I want to make. Mood boards are like your ingredients that you're setting to the side on your counter. Meanwhile, you're making the dish on the other side of the counter. And that's a wrap. I hope that helps. And I'm back. And I'm going to be opening a store pretty soon. And continuing to finish that Cookie the Destroyer comic because I'm getting done. So you guys have a good one.